Hello future Grandmasters, this is going to be a very, very simple video. I'm going to watch Hikaru's reaction to the Joe Rogan article, and I'm going to refute every single point step by step and provide necessary context and refutations to the terrible accusations that have been peddled against me. So let's continue and not waste any time.
Magnus Carlsen appeared with Joe Rogan in Austin, Texas on Wednesday. The title is, I Don't Trust Him. Carlsen opens up on Niemann controversy with Joe Rogan.
I love these articles that are written by chess.com. They work for chess.com. You react to chess. If people aren't starting to see sort through the matrix, I'd be quite surprised.
Yeah, this is an article from Tarjay Svensson. It says, world number one Grandmaster
This
Magnus.
Tarjay guy is the most biased, sort of just Bush League reporter in the world.
Magnus Carlsen made an appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience where he openly addressed the infamous controversy with Grandmaster Hans Niemann for the first time. So it was a varied and entertaining conversation over 2 hours and 17 minutes with Rogan together with U.S. comedian Tony Hinchcliffe discussing
things. I don't know why this Tony guy was there.
Like cheating, AI, video, games, golf, psychology, Carlsen's evolution as a player, and freestyle chess. One of the most noteworthy topics was the
Fisher random chess.
Infamous scandal that followed after his loss to Niemann at the 2022 Singles Cup. The Norwegian withdrew from the event and later suggested the U.S. teenager had cheated, but did not provide evidence. Niemann has denied all allegations of cheating, but admitted to cheating in casual online games with the teenager. Now, this is the first thing that I'm going to say, which to me is definitely not correct. When we look at the casual games, like you look at the chess.com report, they're talking about games where there's prize money on the line. So the notion of casual is already the first thing I want to point out. Is that,
so first of all, chess.com actually never made they said it was likely. And Hikaru, please disclose who you work for. And Hikaru, are you a shareholder in chess.com? Could you clear the record and maybe tell people, are you a shareholder? Because I would think that it's pretty relevant that if you're reacting to an article and you're sort of opining on such a serious matter, it'd be just good to disclose your financial ties. Just like government employees probably shouldn't be regulating industries and being paid, Like, I assume that if a government employee is being paid by a pharmaceutical company, a lot of people would be in outrage if they're influencing policy. And this is the exact same conflict of interest.
When you talk about prize money events, that's very different than a random 3-0 game against somebody. So let's keep going. The chess.com investigation concluded that he had...
Again, guys, chess.com report was leaked, a month after I won the game. Why was it released 2 years later? It's, again, insane.
Likely cheated in over 100 online games. No proof emerged linking him to cheating over the board. This report, along with allegations, led to a 100 million...
Guys, and again, the writing is ridiculous. No proof has emerged. The fact that I have to prove a negative is insane. The fact that they're putting the onus on me to prove my innocence, when in any sort of rational paradigm, you presume innocence.
$1 million defamation lawsuit against Carlsen, chess.com, and other parties, like myself. A U.S. judge eventually dismissed the lawsuit, and the legal dispute was privately settled in 2023. Okay, so online is confirmed by admission for anybody who's asking. That is confirmed. Hans cheated online, and he admitted to it. So this is not something where it's like...
Again, in inconsequential games as a minor, not profiting whatsoever.
It's like if there's any shades of gray, or it's like unknown. Like he admitted to it. That's just straight up.
Hikaru has had quite the reputation for sort of doing things younger. There are a lot of, let's say, stories that have been told about Hikaru in private. That again, it's not my, it could be my prerogative to share, but I'm not going to share them. But Hikaru, there's a video of him getting in a wrestling fight with Eric Hansen on the lawn of St. Louis Chess Club property. So I would say that a drunken wrestling fight on St. Louis Chess Club property, literally maybe 100 feet from the chess club, is behavior that you might not be proud of as an adult. But obviously, again, the hypocrisy speaks for itself.
Carlsen had been reluctant to speak about the controversy, but noted that his side of the story is shared in more detail in a Netflix documentary that is rumored to be released in April. It's called Untold. I believe it's like a 60-minute documentary. It's coming out apparently in April, as they're saying, and it should be interesting to see what is said. Now, someone in chat asked a very pertinent question: will you be in the documentary? Now, I did some filming for it. I don't think I'm under any obligation to not say anything, frankly, and I think already multiple times I said something about it. So, yeah, I assume I'll be in it. I don't think I'm going to feature prominently in it, and the reason I don't think I'm going to feature prominently is that, from my standpoint, I spoke about my views of the whole thing, but I'm one of these people who's in the online sphere talking about it. I talk about all the players and what they think, other top players besides myself, but I suspect that I'm not going to be a big role. I'm not going to play a big role. Now, who knows? Maybe Hans will go off and accuse me of this, that, or the other thing. I have no idea what he said, but from my standpoint,
the truth will be told.
But I could be wrong, obviously. You never know. Okay. However, now the world number one has opened up about what made him suspicious in the first place. There was a combination of things based on the chess level that I thought that he had, that I had seen from his games, both by playing against him and analyzing a bit with him, and by looking at his games. There were a lot of stories back then, Carlsen said. Now, this is a very important point. I don't know if they're going to get into this, or maybe Magnus is going to say this, but one thing that I really don't like about this whole topic, and I've said it many, many times, I'm going to reiterate once again, is there's this notion that somehow Magnus lost the game, and that's what led to all of this. That is simply incorrect. And the reason I know this is from my own personal experience of talking to some grandmasters in St. Louis when I played the Rapid and Blitz, which was prior to the Singles Cup, and also when I was there after the Singles Cup for the Chess 9 LX event. So, as I've said, and I'll reiterate...
So this is refuted very, very simply. People don't know this. It's not, it's a well-known thing, but it's not, let's say, publicly represented in the media, I was the brand ambassador of the Play Magnus Group from about December 2021 to June 2022. There were two brand ambassadors of the Magnus Group, Magnus and myself. I was invited to all their tournaments. There were moments where I was invited to private football games with Magnus. I was invited to, hung out with him and his friends. And they were aware of my childhood mistakes, childish or mistakes on chess.com. They're completely aware. And despite that, they understood it was a stupid mistake. And I was the brand ambassador of Play Magnus Group. I would wear the Chessable and Chess24 logos. They paid me well. They actually had a really positive impact on my career. And in terms of this notion of accusations, blacklists, not liking me, just 1 week or maybe 2 weeks before the Single Cup, I played in the tournament in Miami. And the tournament in Miami, I was the lowest rated player. And I received an amazing wild card invite because I was a popular player and tournament organizers liked having me there because I brought intrigue to the tournaments and I was a talented young player. So this notion that there was all these accusations that I was blacklisted and all these things is insane. Because I, 2 weeks before this tournament, played a tournament that Magnus basically chooses his players. I played in a tournament sponsored by his company, organized by his company, 2 weeks before. Now, do you really think that if he had this sort of passionate hate for me, like he has shown, and this drive to ruin my career, why would I get this like miracle, like last minute invitation to this amazing tournament? None of it makes any sense.
Again, a lot of the top players had suspicions. They were saying things. I have no doubt that several of the same people who were talking to me said things to Magnus, which definitely impacted them in a very...
And the same players that Hikaru was citing, like Nepo and Fabiano or others, they've said the same things with Hikaru. I've spoken to maybe a couple top 10 players who've all accused Hikaru of cheating. So this notion of him saying all these things is insane, because I would say maybe 4 or 5 players in the top 10 have expressed serious concerns about Hikaru, and even more amongst, like, this is a common topic. So for me, I never heard these things and said, endorse them online or I could always go that route. But to be honest, the same people that Hikaru is saying, oh, they didn't say anything publicly, were the same people who were saying the exact same things about him. So he's trying to hide and say, oh, I wish just everyone was doing it so it's okay. But in reality, a lot of people are saying the exact same things about him. Kramnik might be the most vocal one, but I assure you, there are names that you would never expect it's insane.
Very serious way, and I just want to put that out there because many people have this. They've got this wrong notion that Magnus just lost the game. They lost the game and then wanted to accuse Hans and everything else, and that's just not the reality of what happened. This was a thing that was building up over time. Many of the grandmasters.
Again, Singfield Cup could have dropped out of the tournament, could have finished the tournament. Didn't have to drop out during the tournament. Like, didn't have to drop out right after I won the game. Like, didn't have to have chess.com ban me 2 days later when there was a merger. Like, I'm sorry. Like, played me 2 weeks before. Again, you can't take him seriously.
For saying things, it was well known within the top grandmaster circles, and that's what led to this. It was a culmination of all that stuff.
And there are probably, the level of paranoia is so insane that the accusations that get flown around, like, it's not, people are sort of saying it's just me. What about all the other people who've been banned online as adults in like serious prize money events? Why aren't you speaking out about that? For example, there's one player who's played in the candidates, let's say in the past 6 years, who maybe every single top 10 player believes cheated. Why aren't you so vocal about that person, Hikaru?
Losing the game and then the explosion afterwards, as opposed to like Magnus just showing up for the game, losing, and then trying to create some story or some narrative about why he thought that Hans was cheating. Okay, so let's keep going. He added there were a lot of factors that made me very, very suspicious. I think ever since then he's become better, but there's still something off both then and now. Now this part is actually one thing. Like when he says there's something off now, what I think Magnus is referring to, I have not spoken to Magnus about, so obviously I can't speak for him. But when he says both then and now, I think Magnus is basically referring to big fluctuations in quality of play. Sometimes Hans plays at a very high level, sometimes he plays at a very...
Just like Hikaru's fluctuations against playing Magnus and not playing Magnus, or just like Hikaru's fluctuations playing online and playing over the board. If you compare Hikaru's over the board blitz play, the World Rapid Blitz, and you compare his extreme success online, you could say the exact same thing. Okay, I have been under more scrutiny. I have been blacklisted. I have been deprived of every single opportunity. I've been deprived of having financial support, to have a coach, to have any infrastructure behind me. I've been completely deprived and received the worst possible treatment of play any chess player in the history of the game. And I've continued to perform and obviously beat Hikaru in person in New York. So this notion that like somehow there's fluctuations is genuinely, it's so sort of just disingenuous.
Very poor level. You look at a tournament like the US Championship, it was okay. It wasn't very good. You look at a tournament.
So in the US Championship, I performed at like 27-34, which is I guess the number 15 in the world. I maintained my rating. So that's just doesn't make any sense.
Like in was it Serbia, was it, or Croatia? I forgot that one tournament where that massive score. And his play was out of this world good. So like you look at
and in that tournament I played an average age of like 55. And I was the #1 seed, and my opponents played terribly. I got in a roll. Insanity.
Fluctuations. I think that's what Magus means. He's saying that because the quality goes from being like really good, being really bad, and it's not stable at all. But that's probably what the off then and now means.
Yeah, that's why I beat Vidit in an over the board match. I beat Wesley So. I beat MVL. I beat Anish Giri. I beat Nikita Vitugov. I beat Bakro.
Okay, he went on to admit that chess engines have made grandmasters increasingly paranoid about cheating, knowing how many open terms have lack sufficient security. I'm not ruling out that chess players are becoming more and more paranoid. We do have chess engines that play perfect chess. Anybody with their phone, I think Elon Musk tweeted Gary Kasparov that my phone can beat you at chess, which is true. Reflecting on Niemann's playing style, Carlson explained why it made him suspicious. With him specifically, he doesn't seem to be playing, or he didn't at that point seem to be playing with a particular style. It seemed that he either played kind of at, or he more or less played any position very well in certain games. He could just switch from tactical to positional play very easily. Okay, now this is where we get into the interesting stuff, which is this honestly, since someone did just point this out there, I'm defending Magus, I will straight up say what I've said before. If you look at the chess.com report, there are a couple of over the board tournaments where the play looks a little bit unusual, or they say there should be further investigation. And I kind of wonder about some of those events. But the Single Cup game, I said this for the documentary too, is that I don't think Hans cheated in that game. I don't think he cheated in that game of the Single Cup. I highly doubt it. But there are a lot of other games which look kind of unusual. Now, does that mean they cheated? No, of course it doesn't mean that whatsoever. But the play being positional tactical, it does happen.
You would hope that like after all the damage that's been done, they would have some level of decency. But again, Hikaru has no semblance of character.
Now, there can obviously be the example I just gave you, which is you look at Fedosay, where someone can be up and down. We don't know. That is a simple reality. There's also another very important point.
Hikaru's a very up and down player. Hikaru's been accused by a lot of people privately. So, if we can both play this game.
That I don't know if it's going to be pointed out, which is that one of the things at the time, which I think we know now that we didn't know back then, very specifically, is that ratings, I've actually said this many times, I think it's an important point, that we no longer know, or at least in my opinion, I don't think we know what actual ratings mean anymore. And by that, when I talk about it, I'll give one example. There's this guy who I played online from Iran, who his name is, what's his name? He beat Notre Dame recently. I think it's Dark Raid. There was a guy who beat Notre Dame in Qatar recently, and his order board rating is like 2,300. His order board rating is like 2,300. He's like an FM, but I think he tied Reza Mahdavi. That's his name. So Reza Mahdavi is his name, and he basically is 2,300. He played in Title Tuesday. He's finished in the top, near the top 3 or 4 a couple of times. We're like, how can that happen? He's 2,300. It's not possible. But then he goes and plays in Qatar in the Doha Masters, and he beats Notre Dame Abdustorov, who's a top 10 player currently. And so my personal take is that at the time there's this big unknown about the ratings that we didn't necessarily know whether ratings were correct or incorrect. And I think that is one thing.
This is a fair point. But when I was 2460 at the beginning of the pandemic, I was playing so much online blitz and training so much, and I never had opportunities to play that. Obviously, I was significantly underrated. So when people point to my meteoric rise, at the beginning I was already super underrated.
The truth is, Magus shouldn't have taken Netball so seriously with their accusations. Very, very, very hard to judge. I've said before that when we talk about this, we've rehashed this a million times already. The fact is, it's not something that started right before Single Cup. I heard rumors about Hans and cheating for basically the previous 2 years prior to the events in St. Louis. And so this is something that was like behind the scenes for a very long time. It's not something that was like that popped up. And if there's one thing I want people to take away, I don't care whether you believe Hans, whether you believe Magus, whatever it is. The story is a very important point. That this is not something that started in the Single Cup. This is something that was brewing for years prior to the events of that event.
You see the same about a lot of players.
I thought there were any clips in this. But anyway, okay, so let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Can guess
the thing is, it's not only Nepo. I told you guys it's not Nepo. I heard rumors from grandmasters for basically the previous 2 years. So you're talking like 2020 to 2022. Okay. Rogan asked how someone could have possibly cheated in a top-level tournament. Actually, before we get to that, I do want to say one other thing that's very important here, which is like for anybody who wants, there are all these people who want to blame me or say that I somehow did something. My only regret in all of this is that I assumed that when I spoke on the topic, that the other top guys who were talking about this would actually stand up for what I perceive to be a very serious issue. And I think that on this, Magus feels the same way, that a lot of these guys who are saying things, they either were not on social media or they kind of went quiet and didn't say anything as soon as it exploded into the open. And so for my part, the only thing that I regret about it is that my view as the top players, they said all these things, and I actually...
The fact that is his only regret is disgusting. I'm sorry. He's made 80 videos about me. He endorsed insane sort of statistics. He went all sort of just, he unleashed all hell upon me, and to say that he has no regrets, I don't even know what to say to these type of people. I don't understand like how you can have a platform like this and be this type of person.
I believe I thought it was a serious issue. They made it sound really
serious. I don't understand how he has the moral high ground here.
Rogan asked how someone could have possibly cheated in a top-level tournament. An invisible earpiece that people use for exams and so on. But he would have had to have a partner. Rogan followed up. Yeah, he would. This is from Max. Quote, yeah, he would. That would not have been detected by the security alarm they used at that tournament. They answered the security after the whole thing happened. They started checking our ears. Okay. Why is there a snowman next to chess.com logo? There just is. Okay, so this is a picture from the World Rapid Blitz. Okay, Carlson pointed to last year's Speed Chess Championship final in Paris, where he faced Niemann in the semifinals under tighter security measures. He didn't play nearly at the same level there.
Again, that's just so disgusting. I've been... Before Paris, I beat Hikaru, I beat Hikaru, I beat Bucro. I played all back-to-back matches. Before that, I was gold at board 1 of the Turkish league. I think I was gold. I was at board 1 in the French league. I beat, I flew 11 hours, played 12 games against Anish Givri, jet lagged, and then played a match against, I beat Wesley So, playing from until 2 a.m. and then woke up at 10 the next day to play more games. I'm sorry, in Paris, a lot of weird things were happening with my computer and my mouse, okay? And, I had a bad match. I had 2 bad matches, but to say that, it's to sort of nitpick and cherry pick with when you have on the biggest platform when you know your words can do so much damage, it's a complete abuse of power. And he knows, FIDE should be the one keeping players in check when they make such insane accusations.
Heating issue was discussed more broadly during the podcast, with Carlson noting chess.com's recent policy on public disclosures. Okay. What are you guys saying? This, by the way, is something that also, though, I will say I'm kind of skeptical of, and I'll tell you why I'm skeptical at this point. Because one, I'll give you just I played more chess online than anybody else, and there's so many people who sometimes play great and they don't play great. So I'll give you a good example. Good example is if I go back 3 or 4 years ago, there's this player Andrew Tang. Now Andrew Tang is a phenomenal bowl player. I feel like when I played Andrew Tang at bowl 3 or 4 years ago, he was crazy. He was crazy strong. He was hard to play against. And then I would argue that I felt like for a couple of years he kind of petered out. And when I played him, I thought I could just dominate him in bowl. And we're talking about Andrew Tang. But I felt like for probably let's just say 2019 or something, 2021, I thought he was crazy good at bowl. He would give me a good fight. And then in 2022 or 2023, I thought I could basically just beat him, and it wasn't even close.
So Hikaru, it's funny he brings it up. Hikaru accused Andrew Tang of cheating when Andrew was maybe 13 or 14 years old. So he's been accusing people of cheating for a long time, and I think he threatened to track his IP address and find out who he was. So obviously, honorable behavior.
If anything, from the cheating accusations that made him famous. Oh yeah, that's actually the irony about all this is that Hans basically tries to act as though he's been wrong and this, that, or the other thing. He's far more famous now than he would have been. If he were just a 2,700 player just playing tournaments, nobody would care about him. Nobody would know who he is. No, I mean it's definitely been hugely beneficial for Hans from that standpoint. Definitely, no doubt about it. So it's
guys, this is the insanity of certain people. I was accused of the worst thing imaginable. My name became associated with anal beads. And he's trying to say that I'm happy. Before all of this, I was 19 years old. I was one of the top juniors in the world. I was one of the first juniors actually to get to 2700. I got to 2700 before Prague, before Gukesh. At one point, in the junior rankings in the world, it was Ferrugia and I was number 2. Okay? I got invited to all the tournaments. All the doors were opening for me. And I was a very well-known chess player, regardless. And then after that, I was deprived of every single opportunity for 2 years. And my chess career would have been destroyed unless I continued fighting like I have. And for him to try and say that I should be thankful for being famous, for being infamous, it's sickening. It's absolutely sickening.
It's kind of funny to me. It's kind of funny in a way because the reality is he's probably right now. I mean, I would argue the 4th most famous person in chess. I mean, right now after myself, Magus, Levy. I mean, by numbers probably people like Cigar, others, but legitimately, if you look at actual players, he's like the fourth most famous person in the chess world right now. So he's benefited immensely from it. He has, which I don't think that's.
I've benefited so much. I've received so many invitations, so many sponsorships, so many opportunities. I've got biggest platform in the world. It shows just that he just cares about views and fame and money. And he has no character whatsoever.
I don't know if that's a great thing ultimately. I don't know. I mean, you cheat and you get rewarded for it basically, but it is what it is. So
Hikaru should be very careful about what he's accusing me of, right? Because casual games online and the single cup are, it's very, very different.
Carlson has now been top of the world ranking for 15 years, acknowledged that while his knowledge of chess has increased, his raw cognitive speed has slightly declined. He pointed to the first half of 2019 as the peak, saying, "That was when I was most like a young Kasparov, very dynamic." He also reflected on his relentless playing style in 2013, not in 2014, where he reached his highest classical rating of 2882 for the first time. "I was in the best shape of my life. I was just a relentless beast of the board, grinding down my opponents in very long endgames, not giving them. But I suspect that's what Magus at his best in 2019, which is that was right."
A big reason why Hikaru, has always been number 2 in Blitz is that he just doesn't believe in himself. The reason I was able to be, to win and to challenge is I believed in myself. And when he sits here making all these videos, oh, the greatest of all time, the GOAT, oh, he's the best, he's the best. No wonder he beats you every time. Because he doesn't believe in himself. So that's the difference. I genuinely believe that I'm going to be the world champion. And that belief my opponents could feel that ambition.
You know, it's hard to judge. I think basically most, as I said at the start, and I'll finish with this point, most top players feel like something is wrong. They feel like something is wrong. They don't know where, when, or how, but they feel like something is wrong. So from that standpoint, I'm not surprised to see Magnus say,
Hikaru, you should, Kramnik isn't the only one who says things. So, just be careful, Hikaru. All these people who are saying all these things about me, you never know if they're saying the exact same thing about you.
Anyway, that's the article. It's okay. It's kind of a bit of a nothing burger. I think really everybody's moved on from it. That's how it goes. And so
everyone's moved on from it. Yeah, I'm sure. That's why you continue accusing me of these things. Absolutely.
Netflix documentary coming out in April, I believe. I mean, everybody's moved on. It's what it is. He asked about me. I don't know who asked about me or what. Not sure. But anyway, yeah, that was good. No, it was good. It's good that Magnus was on it. I hope that people enjoyed it. I've heard mixed bag. I feel like most people in chess world are kind of unhappy with it. People are kind of unhappy, happy. Kind of depends whose side you're on. But I think at the end of the day, it is good.
Chess mafia propaganda trying to destroy my life yet again. But I hope you guys enjoyed all this context and explanations. And again, Hikaru, promotes gambling to kids on stake. He streams on Kick, which is basically just a gambling funnel for offshore gambling that is extremely, extremely predatory, especially towards young kids. So if you want to, discuss character, I really hope that you guys sort of see the light of who Hikaru is as a person, and the countless amount of people he's accused, and the genuine damage he's done to so many chess players' lives.